live now, right? All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining in to another session of the eMeteor Architecture Schools. But today's session, just like we did last week, today's session we are doing a new one with our students. Now, these are our past students from the 2020 batch, and our students are at PES, and that's PES School of Architecture and BMS School of Architecture. Now, the reason I've organized this is because we've got requests from our students who wanted the experience, who wanted to know what it's like to be part of these colleges. Um, I was not able to reach out to the management, but I think that the students here would be representing their learning, and it's going to be a different format of a webinar today, where our students here are going to be talking about what they did in year one and what they learned. So they're going to share a few of their experiences. The students here are Rachna Anand, who's from BMS School of Architecture. We have Sonika Reddy. She is traveling and she'll join us in a little bit. Um, but I'm expecting her to join anytime, maybe in the next 15 minutes, so we can get her as well. And then we have Leanne Ribeiro, who is also from BMS School of Architecture. And we have Lohit M, who's from PES School of Architecture. So over. So let's go ahead and start off with this session. So thanks so much to all of y'all for taking the time out to coming here and meeting with our current students. All right. Um, so feels good to be on this side of the webinar right now, because last year y'all were on the other side. Yeah. So it's interesting, and really appreciate it, and to get that perspective from y'all would be great. Now, for the first year, all of y'all have been pretty much doing it online, right? So if I can start off with Rachna. So your online experience. So what was it like in terms of last year? There was a lot of confusion, and then you got in, and then college started late, is what I understand, right? So
Yes,
how
sir.
was that experience for you?
In the initially, yeah, it was a little different from like trying to get in from school to college, but in the end, yeah, it worked out. And as we went along, we got used to it, and it was actually a lot of fun. I
Okay,
found that as long as you really like the subject, it's actually very interesting.
nice, interesting. Um, but when you say that it was pretty much on, so it was pretty. Y'all started off online. When did y'all start off?
I joined in December, so at the end of December. So again, we attended 2 weeks online, and then we moved offline. So we had around a month and a half of offline experience.
Okay, that is interesting. And so then you would have had a nice experience also. So what was the, and then you'll shift it back online, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I got that. So Leanne, if you could take it off from here. Now, if you had to compare your online experience versus your offline experience, how was that um, to manage? Was that easy? Was it difficult? What was more difficult? What had its benefits? What where were the challenges?
Both online and offline have their own pros and cons. So when it was offline, it was much more easier to have like this interaction with the faculty, and even the faculty preferred having offline classes because in online they couldn't give like the best reviews and all that. Like it's much more better to have the work in front of them than seeing it online. So, and also you could save up time online, but like traveling and all of that. But I would prefer offline classes. Like,
All
and
right.
now these offline classes have started, so we'll see where how it goes on.
Not bad, not bad. So yeah, so I think the key thing you mentioned is that the offline and online classes have their own advantages and drawbacks. but overall, there are different experiences, and you prefer the offline experience. All right, all right. So, Lohit, coming down to you at PES, have you all started offline classes?
Yes, sir. Offline classes have started for semester three. So, in semester one, our college started at December 14th, and it was online. And till Feb 8th, it was online. Then it became offline. But the semester two was entirely offline, which was entirely online, which was really difficult. Especially the drafting subjects, which it was really difficult for teachers to review and tell us where to improve. But now it's going on well.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So I think the offline experience, I think, is something where you'll actually get to interact socially with your own batchmates as well as with your teachers, so that knowledge sharing is a lot more efficient in the offline process, is what I understand. Right? Cool. Let's go on to the next part of it, which is your experience in the college or with your faculty. Right? um, how is the relationship with your faculty different from what it was in, say, your class 11 and 10, 11, 12? Right? How has that relationship changed? If we can start off with Lohit, continue with Lohit. Yeah.
Faculty in my college is really good. They have given such a leniency that we can text them personally and ask them doubts, and at any time, of course, because architecture students don't sleep. So we can text them and ask at any time. They have given their email IDs so that we can contact them any ways, and the faculties are good enough.
All right. So you're saying there's a very informal relationship
Yes,
with your faculty as compared with your class 11 and 12, right?
yes. And doing projects in the class, the connection is even more closer. They review it at on spot, and we can correct it at the exact time. So that's really nice.
All right. So your feedback loop is instant and a lot more interactive.
Yes.
All right, all right, all right. How about for you, Lian? I mean, at PES, how's the interaction been with your faculty?
In our college, like we have the senior faculty and the younger generation faculty, like so they are very chill to be honest. Like teachers themselves are like, we have much more fun than you all. So they are very cool, and so it's informal, kind of an informal relationship with them. And we have like proctors also assigned to us. So they will be there with us till the end of our 5 year course. So through that, we get to form a much more deeper relationship with the teachers themselves. And teachers are pretty open. We can go and communicate with them. If we have anything to share with them, they're very much open to listen to it. So yeah.
Right, right. So yeah, like I think like Lohit mentioned, I mean, informal is one thing, but also that they're approachable, right? They're very
Yes, yes,
approachable, and like you said, you can really probably interact at a deeper level with them, have that fun, and learn
yes.
from them as well. Um, Rachna, in terms of learning from your faculty, right? What are the styles that of learning that y'all have experienced so far? Has it been more through project work? Has it been through guest lectures? Has it been through possibly, I don't know, maybe some tours or visits or anything? So what have you faced so far?
So what I found is that most of the time, the learning process is very much give and take. So we bring in our ideas, and then our teachers like review it, and then they help us out like with their own experience and ideas. And most of the time, we work on with projects, and since visits weren't really a possibility back then. But yeah, during our major projects, we had our site visits for the first semester when it was possible. Yeah.
Okay. Site visits. So that would have been a good experience, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So what was a site visit like? What did you have to
Um,
do on a site visit?
Yeah, so our first semester project was to design a cafe. So, like the entire batch, we were given a site and then we had to go and visit the site. We had our site dimensions taken and then we did site analysis, like understood the site, and then we designed our cafe according to the requirements given to us.
Really interesting. So, um, so how many sites did you all visit in that year?
It was one, sir. It was our final major project. So it was a common project that the entire batch did. And yeah, so that was our final project, which we were graded mainly on.
All right, all right, all right. And that was in semester 2 or semester 1?
This was the first semester project.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Leanne, what was your experience in the second semester in terms of the teaching experience, like the methods of teaching? Yeah.
Like for second semester, everything was online. So the teachers put in a lot of effort to like make us understand it more. Now, for example, like MMBC, the drafting part of it, they really made sure that we could understand it, even though they couldn't interact with us offline, but they really made sure to give us the best thing. And also they used the softwares to, make us understand stuff.
Okay, okay,
So everything was online,
all right.
basically.
And did you all have jury and all of that?
Yeah, even jury was conducted online for us.
Okay,
But it, since VTU didn't have like final examinations for second sem, it was based on all the three internals that we had. So it was all internal jury itself. There were no external teachers to conduct the jury.
okay. And right, but y'all did have a project and project submission, so there would have been a lot of research that y'all had to do.
Yeah, like for design, as usual, we had a major project, but since we couldn't go to the site, our teachers made sure we were given like the best material possible to understand the site, like the sun path, the wind path, and the elevations there. They made sure that we could get all the possible information needed for the design. So we had to design a house in Sakleshpur. So they made sure we had the proper maps, the road system, and we had to do our own research also from our part. But yeah,
Okay, so that was your project for the second semester, just
so
design a house in Sakleshpur. So did you had to visit that any area, or it was just theoretical through
it
the
was
maps and all that?
optional if you if anyone wanted to go in person and visit, they were free to, but we had the maps with us, so we kind of did everything online. But for first semester, as Rachna said, we did go to the site, and teachers made us realize what all we should be looking forward to, like what are the kind of site analysis that is expected.
All right, cool. So down to Lohit, what was your experience in semester 1 and semester 2 at PS different from what it was for these at BMS?
Semester one, we weren't given
Your voice is not very clear.
any.
Um, you start off and then I'll let you know in case it's a problem.
Semester one, we weren't given. We were. Am I audible?
Now it's better. Yes.
So for semester one, we weren't taken anywhere, but we were allowed to, design a seating area inside the college. So inside the college only, we had gone to a place and measure it and do stuff like that. Semester two was completely online, so no visits, but we were given data so clear that we can continue the project through online itself. So we were supposed to do a residential area for a site in OT. So the teachers gave the input, everything like the site measurements, all those things, so that we could do it online. So,
All right. So similar to what Leanne was talking about at her school. So cool. So it's the same concept, and yeah, but just the city was different. That's all.
yeah.
Right? But both the hill stations. So even that is pretty much the same. Okay, but in terms of of guest faculty and guest lectures? Did you all have any guest lectures um, in through your first 2 semesters?
Sem 1 and Sem 2, we didn't have any guest lectures, but Sem 3, already 8 guest lectures were there. So every week we are having one guest lecture that's online itself.
Okay,
Already
all right. And what type of lecturers are they? I mean, are they practicing architects or?
yes, practicing architect. One was about furniture design, the other was about artificial intelligence and visual reality in design.
Okay,
And today we had an architect who explained about his works. So such guest lectures we have.
all right, all right. So you're going in and out of not able to hear you very clearly. So I think when you come closer to your laptop, we can hear you better. Okay, but just going over to Rachna. Rachna, right. So the type of guest lectures that you all have had so far. What kind of guest lecturers have come in, and what topics have they covered?
So, sir, we've had quite a few. A lot of them were for our seniors as well. So we were also allowed to like listen in. It might not have been very clear to us at the beginning because it was a higher level lecture for them. So we had a few on environmental studies, and there was a person who came in and spoke about the environmental studies that they were doing in a particular area in Karnataka. And we also had practicing architects who came and spoke to us. We have our guest faculty who actually take design for us. So they also coordinate and work with our faculty for taking design.
Hmm. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so if you had to say the ratio of your uh, guest faculty with your permanent faculty in your school, do you have some kind of an idea how many faculty
Uh,
are there? Or
yes, like for us at least, we only have two guest faculty who just come in only for design classes,
Mhm.
and then the rest of them are all permanent faculty that we can like approach at any given times and ask.
Okay, all right, all right, all right. Um, cool. So the next thing is I wanted to see probably showcase some of the work that you'll have done in the first year. Would you all like to showcase some work that you'll have done?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rachna, I've given you the screen sharing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'll just share my work from like the first semester.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just a second. Is the screen visible?
Uh, yes. Now it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was my cafe for the first semester.
Mhm.
So this is a sectional view of the cafe we designed.
Okay.
So yeah, this just shows it just cuts through the building and then shows us the interiors with the counters and then the seating areas and passageways.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then this is an elevation of the same cafe that we had done.
All right. All right. So the cross section and the
Yeah.
elevation is what. Interesting. So now you had to. So this was the cafe that y'all designed. So you
Yes.
had to do everything from scratch. You just had the site, and then
Yes,
you
sir.
had
It
to
was
imagine
just
all
a
of
site.
this.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And y'all had to work in teams for this, or y'all had to work individually?
This was an individual project, sir. So our major projects are individual projects that each one has to work on by
Mhm.
themselves.
Okay. And how long did it take you to work on this, to like from concept to the
Um,
final?
the major project usually occupies around like the last month of the semester or even more than that, because we start off with like the ideation phase and then we bring out concepts, and we can start off with like models that we decide we start off with like preparing models or like random shape generation exercises,
Okay.
and then we work on the basis of the requirements, and then we move forward. We start off with base plans, and then those plans get recycled like 5 or 6 times at least.
All right.
and we decide on the final one, and then we move on with the final elevations and sections and stuff.
Okay. And this is absolutely hand-drawn.
Yes, sir.
Everything. Okay. 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 Amazing. Good stuff. Good
Thank
stuff.
you, sir.
What about Leanne? Do you have anything that you'd like to showcase? Either you, not yet. Okay. Cool. 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 Lohit, how about you? Do you have anything you'd like to showcase?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So just a second. I'm just searching for the same one. So this was our project.
Hmm.
So the seating area for college, during the canteen. This is not that clear, but so this is how it was.
Okay.
This is the plan, and this is the views inside it, and this is front elevation, side elevation.
All right. All right.
Yes.
Nice. 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 Interesting. And so, even for you, did it take about a month or
Yes, sir. A month, and this was a group work. This
okay.
was
Okay.
Sem 1, 4 of us were
All
there.
right. So how many group projects do you have versus individual projects in a semester?
So for every project, they make us do case studies and literature studies.
Hmm.
Those are group projects. But when it comes to the project designing, it's individual.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. So when you say literature, right, studying the literature, case studies, and all that, what exactly does that involve? I mean,
So for example, in SEM 1, we didn't have any major project, whereas in SEM 2, we had a major project, like we had to design a residence for a family in Ooty. So the case study in that is we have to select a house which already exists, having the parameters as same as that, like in a hill station, same number of people in the house, and we have to study that and we have to present them, like what all we found in it, the advantages, disadvantages, and how to correct the disadvantages in our project. So that's the case study. But whereas a literature studies, like in third sem, we are supposed to design a spiritual center. So literature study consists like how many toilets should be there for this number of population, how many parking spots should be there, what is the walking area. So the standards we have to figure out and use it in our project. So that's how the case study and literature study are.
all right. All right. All right. Um. So, Leanne, is it the same with y'all over there at BMS? Is it the same process that y'all follow?
Yeah, for the second semester's major project, we had like a certain set of requirements that we had to go through before designing our house. So, as Lohit said, even we had like the literature case study, physical case study, and then moving on to like a form generation exercise wherein we were given the freedom to come up with whichever or whatever kind of form we wanted, and the best outcome was, you could choose that as your main form. And then we had a lot of plans to come up with, like starting from the basics, site analysis, site zoning, bubble diagrams. So we have this certain set of lists that they give, and we just go through each one of them and finally end up with our design. So
Okay.
it's similar.
All right. So there's a question from Bhavika. All right, who's asking now. BMSSA is associated with the university, with the VTU University, right? And PS, are they associated with VTU or are they their own autonomous university?
Autonomous, sir.
Autonomous. Okay. So let me ask you, Lohit. Now, if you could, uh, if you could specify now, do you find any difference between what y'all are doing at PES versus your friends who are at other schools? Is there something different from an autonomous university perspective?
So I know only about RV College of Architecture. So they are VTU. So the thing is, their SEM 1 exams were actually on hold, wherein in autonomous, they just finished it and moved on to the next one. So I think the decision making is different and quick in autonomous. Other than that, teaching and subjects are all same, and weightage of syllabus is all remaining the same, is what I feel.
All right, all right. So the flexibility of organizing the own exams is one of the key differentiators, right?
Yeah.
Rachana, do you have any thoughts on this? Whether what is different about your VTU university versus a PS university versus any private or autonomous university, not necessarily PS. Yeah.
I'm not really sure on that as much, sir, because well, we haven't really had a lot of interactions with like other colleges, well. But from what I do understand, like he mentioned, the decision making comes from VTU itself, like when to start college or like when to like end the semester and when the exams happen. So yeah, our first semester exams we had to like wait because of the COVID restrictions, and most of the time they will happen offline and they won't be conducted online. The final semester exams.
Mhm.
So that is one major
All,
difference. Yeah.
all right. So coming back to Lohit, I mean, just building up on this point. So y'all had your exams conducted, right?
Yes, sir. We had our exams conducted. We had to
Oh,
go and submit our projects, and an external jury evaluated it. This was for the semester 1.
all right, all right. And semester two?
It was completely online only. We just had to submit it online. And on one particular day, we had to submit all the portfolios, like all the subjects portfolios. We had to just go and give it.
Okay,
And there was no external jury for semester 2.
all right. So now, for the rest of the people here, an exam means actually going to college, writing questions, answers, and writing those answers, long answers, MCQs, all of that, right? Now, that's in a class 11 and 12 system. What about in an architecture system? How does it work for you at PS? I mean, the exams.
So there are 10 subjects in which two subjects, that's history and structures, are like the written exam. Like we have to write for 100 marks, they correct the paper and they give you marks. That's how it is. But the rest eight are like projects. We have to go submit the portfolio. And actually, there will be an external jury who will ask you questions. But due to the COVID pandemic, there was no interaction. But that's the procedure. So probably from third sem, there will be a person who will be asking us the questions on our project, and we have to answer. Based on that, the marks is given.
All right. Leanne, is it the same with the BMS?
Yeah, like what Lohit said, history and structures are theory exams wherein we have to go and write. And when it comes to subjects like MMBC, for all the odd semesters, you'll have Viva, and for the even semesters, you'll have drafting exams. So basically, you'll have to sit and draft within that time constraint. So, like in the beginning, people used to find it hard to draft because we were all new to it and getting used to it. So this time for our even semester, that was second semester, we had drafting exam. Even though it was online, we had to draft and submit it online. So by the end, we do have to show our portfolios also.
All right, all right. So if you can just rename yourselves, like what Rachana has done, so that people here can see which college you are from. Um, you're right. That's a request from Unnati Upadhyay's requesting that. So Unnati, basically Rachna and Leanne are from BMS School of Architecture, which is in Yelahanka, Bangalore, and Lohit is from PES University School of Architecture. All right. Um, right. So interesting that you'll mention. Now this is very interesting because the concept till a class 12 is that you have to go. Maybe there are some practical exams and that's about it, right? But the practical is in addition to your regular class. But here it seems to be it's majority practical and less of. I mean the written part is typically what do you say, something to do with history or structures, which is a little more technical, where calculations probably need to be done, right? So that's what I got from that question. um, Right. So that's good. That's good that we've covered all of this. Um, right. The other thing I wanted to add here for the benefit of the students when they ask what is different from a university versus an affiliated college affiliated to a university versus an autonomous institute. So just to make everything clear for everyone, there are three levels of decision making here. The overall level is, or the framework is created by the Council of Architecture, right? So they just give a raw framework and say that as long as a college delivers this, we can award the students a BArch degree at the end of it. The second level is at a university level, right? That university level, now in the case of BMSSA, those decisions are taken by the VTU University, which is based in Belgaum, right? Whereas at PES, it's taken by the Board of Studies or the Board of Governors or Board of Studies is what they call it. And that's at a higher level at the university level. And the third level is the institute level, right? Um, where the institute, so the second level decides something which is a little more detailed than the first level, which says okay, they put a structure to it and they make it a little more current and say okay, we need to give XYZ experiences to our students. And the third level is at the institute level where they create a lot more value, right? Now because of these three levels, typically there's not much difference between the first level and the second level other than operational things like what Leanne and Rachna said, that the exams got postponed or did not even happen, whereas at a PES it happened, right? So that is one level of difference that you can see, but it's more operational as such. But when you go down to the institute level or the third level, that's where each college has a very different experience that you do. Now this is now through this discussion, this experience is what you need to kind of figure out where the difference in experience is. All right. So now my next set of questions are going to be in terms of your activities or the college infrastructure, the college activities, uh, your interactions with your seniors or juniors, and all of that. Right. So that's the next part of this discussion. Um, so, Lohit, can you tell us at PES what are the various things that you'll get to participate in other than the academic aspects?
We still have not gotten that much of exposure because, like, in entire year, we just sat at home and we did our colleging. So
Mhm.
I think I'm not yet clear, but there are competitions coming up as right semester, and we can take part, and that is intra college and inter college also. So yes,
Okay. So, does your college management do they encourage you to take part in all of these competitions? Do they
yes,
support you all on that?
yes, they do, they do.
Okay. So, attendance and all of that they would probably give you all if you have to.
Uh, I don't think so that would be applicable for our batch because we are like shrinking the number of months in a semester. Like it's 6 months, but they have reduced it to 4 months.
Mhm.
So, be on track due to the pandemic. So that doesn't take place in our batch, but usually they do.
All right, all right, cool. So, Rachna, what about y'all over there? What's the external experience like? I mean, other than the academics.
So we have quite a few clubs, like we have the Rotaract Club, and then we also have NASA, which all the architecture students are like a part of. Like every single student takes part in NASA. So NASA organizes the like the inter-school competitions for India in architecture, and we also have like other clubs that we can take part in. We have the sports activities and we have the sports competitions that also take place in. We had a few selections in the first semester before we closed down for sports, but yeah, we also have like activities. We do our recycling activities. We have the entire batch does it, so we have activities where we sit and recycle our old sheets and stuff like that.
All right, all right, all right. Um, Leanne, I'm going to come down to you to the interaction between your seniors and your peer group. How has that interaction been during this first year?
Like in during our first semester, we never got to see our seniors, to be honest, because it was only us on campus. Like
Mhm.
there weren't much senior interaction, but seniors did make an effort to reach out to the new juniors that have joined their college, like to interact with them, and like there were few events that took place. So through that, we got to interact with our seniors, like, and they kind of gave us a guide on how the teachers are. They were very willing to help us if we needed help. They were like, "You all can reach out to us." So the seniors and juniors had a pretty good interaction. Like they
All
were.
right, all right, all right. And what about at PS? I mean, how's the interaction been with your peer group and your seniors?
Same as Leanne said, we hadn't much interaction in the SEM 1 and SEM 2, but yes, they did make efforts and they told how to, manage the time. That was really useful.
Okay,
And now semester 3, we had an election. So, it was really interactive. Seniors regularly came to class and, told about the academics and all stuff like that.
all right, all right. Um, right. So couple of other questions. I'm going to take them one by one. Do you learn any software in the first year, or do you learn them in later years? Software.
No, we haven't been introduced to software during our first year at least. But seniors took an effort to teach juniors if they were interested. If like we were interested, we could sign up, and the seniors were willing to teach us software. So as of now, we haven't been introduced, but I guess in the future semesters we will be having classes.
All right, all right.
We're starting software this semester, sir, third semester at BMS.
Okay.
So I
So what
like
are the
to
software
add
that you're starting off with?
We really haven't had class yet, sir. So I think
Okay,
the first class is this week or the week after.
okay, okay.
for us, excuse me.
Go ahead,
Uh,
Lloyd.
for us, in second semester only they started, and in third semester also have done. So far, they've taught us 5 softwares: Autodesk, SketchUp, Photoshop, Rhino, and 3ds Max. So it's step by step. We use all the softwares like for one project, so it was nice, and it's easier than the
All right, then actually physically drafting.
uh,
Yeah. So this is an interesting perspective. So now when Bhavika asks how is PS University different from BMS, all right? Now we we don't say okay because PS teaches software in the second semester, uh, it's an advantage or a disadvantage, right? Because the approaches are different, right? If I look at BMS, they say okay, you need to have a good hand, and you need to uh, be understand the fundamentals of drawing by hand in the first year, and then second year will take you to do your software. Whereas with Lohit's case, they said, okay, maybe in the first semester we teach you drafting, and then second semester onwards you go into software, right? So the approaches are different, the ideologies are different, but it's not like one is better than the other, right? Now to say which one is, for a student who's considering, either of these schools or any of the schools, what you really need to see is what you would prefer, right? Would you prefer to go the traditional path of learning the fundamentals and then getting into the software, or whether you would say, okay, you know what, I really don't need to learn fundamentals, I can get into software and I can learn my fundamentals on the software itself, right? So these are the experiences that each school is giving out. Uh, Nik- Nikshita is asking, how was your experience with DQ Labs? Did it help you get seats in your dream college? Okay, if you all can answer that, yeah.
I think surely it did help us because we, through DQ Labs, we got a basic foundation to what was in store for us in future. So DQ Lab surely did help us get through. And you know, even in drawing, like we kind of had like we knew how to draw perspectives, how to draw human figures, and that really helped. At least in my case, it helped me out. Now, the DK Lab did help.
All
Um,
right. Thanks for that, Lian. Rachna, what about you?
Yeah. One thing that I found was like really helpful, like just before the exam, is like taking the quizzes like multiple times. So it was a very good brush up, like just before the exam. And like Leanne mentioned, like knowing perspective, human figures, they were really helpful because we stepped in knowing our basics. So a lot of the theory that we did learn in DQ, it helped out in the long run because we already knew color theory. We knew about like the basic architects, like the famous architects, the buildings, and we had a good idea walking in. So we didn't walk in blind.
All right. So basically, it did. What you're saying is that what you learned at DQ also helped you in your architecture. Lohit,
Yes.
was it? Was it? Is there
Uh,
anything else that
they
you had?
both have covered it. So the sketching and knowing the architects was really useful. And there was a subject called seminar, and wherein only about the architects were there, which already DQ Labs had covered. And sketching, of course, it was a huge tool for us because we had learned it earlier and went in, so it was really useful.
All right. All right. Thank you for that. And Nikshita, thank you for asking that question because I think it's beyond just the cracking the nata, but it goes that learning experience will help you in your college as well. Um, so did it help you get seats in your dream college? Are you happy with the colleges that y'all are at?
yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I hope that's answered your question, Nikshita. Meghna P is asking a question. What were your ranks? Either your ranks or your NATA scores, whatever you're comfortable in telling. Rachna? Yeah.
My NATA score was 156.5.
All right. All right. Cool. And Lian?
my NATA score was 147, and since I'm like a non-Kannadiga, I had to get in through Comet K.
Okay.
So my Comet K rank was 347.
All right. All right. And Lohit?
My NATA score was 152, and yes.
Okay. Cool. 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 Now on these lines, what I'm going to do is just share my screen and show the students here. So typically at a PES, the general merit cutoff was rank 145. All right. So I think for PAS it was around 145, and for BMSSA it was around 270. So this would be in the top maybe 10% of all the schools, 10% of all the students who answered the NATA exam. But please understand this is the first round allotment. So in CET 2020, there's round one, round two, and the extended round. And your best chance is to get into the first round itself, where um, you're within these rank limits. But however, at a in the subsequent rounds, there are possibilities. Even if your rank doesn't reaches goes beyond this, there are possibilities that you can get in as well. All right. Um, do you all know how many students are there in your school? Like how many? Like is it 40 or 80 or 120 students your school has approval for?
And in our batch, there are nearly 90 students. So, like in every class, there's like 30, 30, 30. Like there are three sections and 30 students in each class.
Okay. What about at PS?
We have only one section, 40 students.
Okay, okay. So for this, what students can go to is the Council of Architecture website, and you will see on the Council of Architecture website how many seats a college has been approved for, Let me pull that up for you because that's very important. Um, hmm. Let me. Okay, they've changed the website since the last time I've seen it. Let me pull that up because this is important for you all to see. Okay, so what you'll have to do is go to coa.gov.in, and here you have the list of approved institutions. I'm not seeing the list, but typically this is where they have the list, and they generally have a list of institutions. I'm not sure where that is, but you can actually download that list and have a look at the um, you can have a look at the school. Yeah. So this is the list. All right. So you can see the list, basically the school name, who's heading the school, the name of the course, when the course commenced, and the approval. So this you can go through um, every college is listed here. So in case there's a college you want to see what their approvals are, you can always go through that. And sometimes you'll get to see things like this. All right. This means they have not been approved for 2021-22, right? Or their approval process is not complete. So this is something which is very important that you'll look at, so to know what the possibilities are for you to get into a school of your choice. Okay, so if you go, Karnataka starts off with KA. Um, and here you have, see, for example, Manipal school has 160 seats, right? And similar, if you go down all the way down, you will get all this information here. So very important that you look through the Council of Architecture website as well. Okay. Chaitanya, Samrat, we have addressed this question of the visiting faculty. There are visiting faculty at both institutions. What are your tips? What are your trips conducted in PES? So, Unnati, this has been answered as well, because there were trips conducted, not really trips conducted, but it's something that should be conducted in future. But due to the pandemic, they were not conducted very well, very promptly. Um, was there any disturbance in your academics due to the pandemic? So yeah, Unnati, this also has been covered as a question. Good question. Um, there were disturbances, like they've mentioned earlier, and the experience of an offline experience is preferred over the online. And of course, they had issues with conducting the exams. So PK is asking, how many subjects do you have per semester? I think both of you all had 10 subjects, right? Both institutions had 10 subjects each, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Um, can you tell me more about the entrance exams and eligibility in PES? You're on mute.
I'm not sure, but there are three ways to get in. One is the management, then the PSAT, and then the CET. I got through PSAT. That's all I know. I just don't know about the number of seats.
Right. So, Unnati, as a thumb rule, in general, 40% of the seats are reserved for Karnataka CET. There are another 40% reserved for either PSAT or their own entrance exams or COMEDK, and probably 20% of the seats are reserved as management seats. Okay, so this is a thumb rule, a general rule. Now, this more specific you want to get into, you need to probably reach out to the school, and they will probably give you better information on that. All right. um, Nikshita is asking, which college did you join in 11th and 12th? Do you recommend any other two? So, which colleges that you all study in class 11 and 12?
I was from CMR, NPS, CBSE. Yeah.
CMR NPS. So that's towards Hennur side or ITPL side?
HRBR, yeah.
HRBR. Okay, okay. And Lian?
Yeah, I'm from Mount Carmel College. Mount
Uh,
Carmel.
okay, Bangalore. And that's Vasan Nagar, Bangalore. And Lohit, where did you
Uh,
study?
I studied in Nanodaya. It's in Chamrajpet.
Chamrajpet. Okay. And cool. So Nikshita, I think would we recommend other colleges too? I'm not sure, but you can definitely connect with us with our counselors, and they would help you out um, with the colleges that you could consider in class 11 and 12. All right, but thanks for asking that question. It's a good question. But still, I mean, since she's asked it, would you recommend your colleges or any other colleges?
Only I would recommend Mount Carmel because Mount Carmel will give you a wide range of exposure when it comes to the extracurricular activities. They have a lot of activities, lot of clubs, so you can find your own part. Like you get to find a new version of yourself, if I were to say. So I would recommend Mount Carmel. So yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. What about Rachna? Would you recommend yours?
So I studied there like from the beginning. So it was like 14 years of school experience. So I don't really know anything else. But yeah, it was a very safe space for me because I had the same experience like throughout my childhood, and it was very helpful also.
All right. All right. I think um, NPS is very focused on the academic aspect
Yes, sir.
from that sense, and Mount Carmel has a lot, like Lian says, there's a lot of exposure to extracurricular activities. Lohit, what about you?
Uh, Keeping in mind of academics, it's a really good college, but extracurricular, I don't suggest it. And for me, I was only concentrating on board and NATA. On the CET exam, I wasn't worried. So the college was really supportive. Like for board, it was before 4, and after 4 for CET, whoever wants to attend can attend. So it was really comfortable for me to just concentrate on board and NATA. So for academics, yes, of course, I'll suggest. But extracurricular, I don't think so. There's no much exposure.
On those lines, Lohit, how important do you think is extracurricular activities in class 11 and 12 uh,
Uh,
for your architecture experience? Do you think it helps contribute?
Yes, of course, a lot. And because once you go to architecture, the trips they take you is almost like studying over there. We have to work there. But the extracurricular activities in 11th and 12th are like more not towards the academics. It's more flexible and relaxing. So it's very important in 11th and 12th than further years.
Okay, okay. What about y'all? Do y'all have anything to add, Rachna or Lian?
I feel like if you get a chance to take part in extracurricular activities during your PUC, you should go for it because, like, once you join college, at least in BMSSA, I can't say like we have that many opportunities, like to compare to what was in Mount Carmel. So I guess extracurricular activities should be considered.
Okay,
So
cool, cool, cool. What about Rachna? I mean,
Yes, sir. I was also like very concentrated on NATA and like the academic side of things, but yeah, I took part in even DQ's hackathon that happened, the architecture competition. So that was a really interesting experience as well. So I took part in all art-related competitions that school also used to organize.
phenomenal. So yeah, so on those lines, it's very important that you all do probably take part in these activities. It helps you grow as a person a lot. I think it helps you identify yourself as well, and you can choose, like they've chosen to be either part of certain activities or not. So you can choose what activities, but do take part in activities. All right. Um, Digan Kumar is asking, how did you all do self-study during the using the DQ Labs platform? So that is DQ Edge is what Digant is asking about. Uh, did you find that useful? Was that helpful? Did it help you to study, do your self-study on that? How useful was that?
So yeah, for me it was something that I used to like brush up a lot, like especially the quizzes. So they were a quick revision, and they also helped me like realize what did I miss while studying, and like what part of the knowledge that I was clear on and what I had more work to put on. So it also helped me keep track of like my subjects and the amount of knowledge I had in each subject as well.
All right, all right. Leanne, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, like through DQH, I got to know where I was standing at, like where I had to focus on, where I was lacking at. So it's all up to you how you make use of it. Like DQ Labs obviously gives you a lot of opportunity, like a lot of classes and all of that, but it's all up to you how you utilize the given content and how you want to explore it. So
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Lohit, what about you?
So I have been going to DQ like from 11th. So at the end of 12th, it was like brush up using the DQ8, which was easier for me. So I almost had covered all in the first year. So at the second year, I just had to revise it for the exam. So
Sure. I think one of the things that Leanne mentioned is that the platform will tell you what to study next. So if you use that knowledge elimination and formula whenever you take any of these tests, then you get those suggestions, and then those suggestions at least make your life simpler, right? It may not be perfect, but it's better than shooting in the dark. you know so that's probably what I would suggest to the students, to both Unnati and Digant, and any of the students who are taking that. And that's actually something which we've that's a new technology, something that does not exist anywhere. It's something that we have patented. Um, and it's helpful. Like I said, it may not be the best, but it's better than anything else that's out there. You know. Uh, right. So the next thing is Bhavika is asking, how is BMS School of Architecture different from BMS College of Architecture? Do you all have any? Would you all like to make a comparison, or do you all have an idea, or there's no idea at all?
I have no idea, just the location, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, Rachna.
It was almost the same factor for me. I chose the BMS school because of location. Like Yaranka was closer to me. But when I spoke to like the management during admission time, they told me it was pretty much the same. They followed like the same base syllabus and everything. They both had faculties, and sometimes faculty does visit there as well, from what they had told me. So yeah, they're
Okay.
sister schools,
All right.
basically.
Cool. So for this particular question, Bhavika, and Bhavika KV has been pretty active with all these webinars. And Bhavika, thank you for asking these questions. It adds a lot more interaction during these webinars. But Bhavika, I think what it is very difficult for anyone to really say, because every student who's studying in a school will only know that school very well, right? It's very difficult to put yourself into some other person's shoes and say, okay, this is better, that is better. So the ideal thing for you to do is to watch this webinar, probably watch it again, and get an idea of as to what the experiences of Rachna and Lian are. And then you could also watch the other webinar with the BMS students, watch that again, so that you get a sense of where the differences are. All right. So that should make you a little more knowledgeable before you make your decision. Okay. The option entry is coming up soon. Um, right. So the next thing is placements. Vikasni is asking, do you have any idea about the placements for students in each school? Is that something you'll have thought about? Have you all found that out, or no?
No.
College does do placements. I think they start off with like placing us in internships, which we should start around our third year, the in between the third year or the end of it. And post that, we also have the placement wing from what I've asked around.
Okay, okay. So I think this is a very interesting question and very interesting answers from y'all. Um, so Liane said no, no idea. Lohit said no idea, and they've really not really looked into this aspect, right? But Liane and maybe Rachna's also just briefly said, okay, I've heard about this. But maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, when y'all were looking at this, at that point of time, was placement something that y'all were like trying to find out how the placements are?
I
No?
guess it's like every parent's concern of whether that college is going to have good placements or not. So, but teachers do guide us. Teachers speak about like what are the kind of internships you should go for when you reach that particular semester. Like one of our teachers like briefed us about what will be in store for us. So as of now, I have no clue about the placement part, but I can imagine like even we were in their shoes, so
Yeah.
I know they might be concerned about it, but
Yeah, and fantastic. I really like these answers that all three of y'all gave, because this is an anxiety that every parent and every student goes through, in your class 11 and 12. Because if you look at it, probably the engineering colleges have sold placements as a, as the main thing, right? That's a selling platform which probably engineering schools have taken advantage of our anxieties and pitched that as the most important thing, right? But design and architecture and fashion schools work completely differently, right? If you look at all three of them here, all three have really not bothered about placements. What they're talking about is their experiences, their interactions with faculty, their learning experiences, the exposure that they get. That becomes the core of what all these are focusing on, right? Their focus is on how do I get the best from my school. They are there in the school to learn, to become independent, to go for their activities, to be part of NASA, to be part, to develop their all-rounded personalities, right? Because when they graduate, the placements are secondary. Okay, we'll get an internship, we'll find a job, a college may help us out, a college has placement, but that's not important. The important aspect is the experience and the learning I'm getting from each college, right? So this is a very important takeaway from from this discussion. uh, Please understand that you will get placed, all right? But getting placements in an architecture or a design school is very different from getting placed in a engineering college. In an engineering college, Infosys or a Wipro will come and take 100, 200 students, like mass placements. But that does not happen here. Here, it's like becoming a doctor, right? You never ask a doctor, will you get placed after you finish your medicine? Or, you know, that doesn't happen. It's the experience that the doctor gets when they graduate, right? Nobody asks a doctor, how many marks did you get? Did you get first rank or last rank, or what? Nobody asks a doctor that. uh, and that's the same case with architects, right? So you need to put architecture in a different bucket than you put engineering. All right, so very important question. Thanks for asking that, Vikasni. Liz, right? Unnati is asking, was there any previous webinar about PES? No, this is the first one we're doing with the students from PES. But last year we did a webinar with the students from PES. You could look at that, as well as um, that's there on our YouTube channel as well. Final two questions I'm going to take. Um, can you give us a few tips on time management while studying architecture in a college? The question by Liz JJ. Do you all have any tips on time management? Because I think the concern here is that everyone says, okay, everyone's aware that architects don't sleep, okay, and architects are working all the time. So how do you manage your time better?
As for me, I gave importance based on the credit of the subject because all the subjects are new to me, so I won't know which is like taking more time. So based on the number of credits, I spend the time. Like for design, I spend the most time, and then comes the drafting. So such a way I spend my time.
All right, and that's a smart thing to do, to see, prioritize based on the credits you're getting. That's a very smart method that you're taking. Any other pointers that you'll have, Rachna or Leanne?
I
Yes,
suppose just do it as like as you get it, like try and finish everything and not have it as a backlog, because the more you postpone it, the more gets accumulated for your final portfolio submission, and then you just have to pull all-nighters after all-nighters.
Okay, Leanne, do you have anything to add?
just as Rachana said, do your sheets that day itself. And in the beginning, you might find it hard to like get used to this new routine, but as time goes by, you will, that will become a part of your life. So yeah, all the memes that you see about architecture, the redo part, everything is true. You just have to like take it as.
So interesting perspective here. um so when you know that you can do something really well, but it'll take you a lot of time, versus doing something kind of quickly and it'll take you less time, but to manage your time, you'll do the quicker thing and finish it off and submit. Is that the approach you would take, or would you take long to do a good job out of it?
Like for example, in design, like we have like specific, we are divided into groups. So we usually have like a mentor mentee discussion happening. So if the mentor is lenient with us, he will give us ample amount of time to get the best out of us. But I guess it depends on the faculty. If
Okay.
you, and it depends personally. If you want to finish it fast, do the quicker way, or else give your best, because in the end, your portfolio speaks for you. So
Right,
it's
right.
all English.
So in the last webinar with our students from BMS and RV, from BMS and MS Ramaya, they said, okay, we all got together and we told the teacher, to push the deadlines, but that came back to bite them at a later stage, because the submission still had to be done, and just that the deadline got extended, right? So I think what Liane and Rachna are saying and Lohit are saying, just finish it off, don't delay, don't push it. That makes the most sense. So good time management tips. Thanks for asking that, Liz. um, right, and the last question, uh, before we get into architecture college, can you give some tips and suggestions what we need to do? So is there something that students can do to mentally prepare themselves, or before, or actually gain some skill sets before they get into architecture school? Because they have some time now, they have about a month or two. So what can they do in this time?
They can read more, get to know about the kind of architecture existing. I mean, basically read a lot, because that will always benefit you. Start observing things, like try to imply whatever you've learned. Like even in DQ, you might have learned about certain elements which are used in architecture. You can try and observe it in day-to-day life. You know, and also if you want, you can start early and try and learn some software. There's no harm in doing it. So if they have the time, they can opt for learning softwares and read a lot.
Okay, so read a lot, learn some software, and anything else that you'd like to add, Rachna and Lohit?
I'd probably say like focus on like sketching, like even if it's just like expressing yourself or something like that. Like have a good grip of the sketching that you plan on doing, because on the long run it's very helpful. Like most of our second semester was perspective, which we'd already learned before we even stepped into college. So have a good grip on your sketching.
Okay. Anything, Lohit, would you have anything else to add?
They both have covered it, softwares and
Okay.
sketching. So softwares, usually when they introduce software in the college, they won't give us more time to explore it. Like just randomly do stuff. They don't give us that time. They give us the project and they're like, do it. So exploring software would be really useful.
All right. All right. So fantastic. Good tips given out there. The last question, there's a question by Unnati. As DQ Lab students, do you have any advice for students giving their NATA next year?
So, I guess don't give up on your dreams. Just go for it. Like there might be times wherein you'll question everything. You'll be like, why am I doing this and all of that? But you know, don't give up. You can ace it. It's not a big thing. Like just be clear on what you want. Like some people in the end they'll be like, why did I choose architecture and all of that? So it's better to be clear because you'll be investing 5 years of your life into it. So I mean, if you were to talk about the studying part, I guess it isn't a big thing. You can do it.
All
Like
right.
DQ is there. So
Cool. Thanks for that, Lian. Um, Rachna?
So like I've said before, like I found that if you really are passionate about the subject, like even the all-nighters or like, the amount of studying you have to put in, the work you have to put in, it doesn't feel like much. I genuinely enjoy what I'm doing right now. So no matter how much time it takes me, in the end, I'm happy with what I've learned. So yeah, it's just about being passionate about what you do in the end.
All right. All right. Thanks so much. And Lohit?
You should have the interest, otherwise there's nothing, you cannot do it, because there's not a single person who's going to say architecture is easy. Everyone is going to say that is difficult. Why are you going to take? That's all the common words you'll hear. Should have that interest so that once you get in, you can cross it completely or enjoy crossing it. It's not just crossing it, you should enjoy. So that is how you learn, because there's no theory part to just by heart and write. It's all in your hands to do the work. So basically, you have to love it and
All right. Fantastic. And thank you all so much for taking the time out to coming here, and really appreciate. And those who were participating and asking questions, thank you so much for asking so many questions. It's been great interacting with you all. All the best to you. Whether you're looking at a college this year, or you're looking to answer college next year, um, or like Nikshita, who's probably in class 10 right now and looking to join a school, and keeping architecture as a focus. So fantastic set of questions and interactions out here. Thanks so much. If you like this webinar, please click on the like button and subscribe to the DQ Labs channel, because you'll get notified of other webinars that are happening. Next week we are going to have a webinar about NASA. Now all the students here keep talking about NASA, what it is. So we're going to get one of our DQ Lab students and a classmate of Rachna's and Leanne's, who's very active with the NASA. Uh, uh, what would NASA activities. So she's going to be coming next week. So please look out for that webinar. We're going to have students from other colleges like CEPT, from SPAs, who are going to come on our platform. So please like and subscribe to our channel so that you get notified of all these things. Also follow us on Instagram, because we post both on YouTube as well as Instagram. So follow us there and you'll get notified. Thanks so much.